So,
Linda, if you heard that, can you give me like a little sign, like the little
Participants.
thumbs up signal or something? Okay, I see the recording started. Now if you could do the host over to me.
Right here. We're getting organized.
Ginger.
Very. We're just.
Or in the meantime, if you don't hand the host over to me, if you could just mute everybody, that would be great so we could get started.
We did. We did.
Everybody muted now?
No, mute.
All right, if you could mute yourselves, because we're having a little problem with doing that, then we just don't have all the background noise. So if everybody could just mute
Sandy?
themselves. Yeah?
Lee is trying to get in.
Oh, well, all right. Okay, well, Linda should be letting them in. So, you know, sometimes there's just a backup and, you know, she's checking off the list because we don't want to have anybody jump in on the meeting that we're not welcoming. So, okay, so if everybody could just, you know, mute yourselves now, put your little mute, you know, in either the lower left or the upper left, wherever you are there. And just everybody mute, and then we can get started.
What should we do?
There's a little, looks like a little microphone on the lower left-hand corner. Just click on it so that it puts a red slash through it, so you'll be on mute. Or either in the upper right-hand corner of your box is a little blue box with 3 dots. Okay, good. All right, well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for taking your time and coming here. This is the first time we're doing this, so I really appreciate everyone kind of, you know, being there for us. We're going to give you a visual of Portugal, which is a wonderful country, and then you're going to get a taste of Portugal. So Portugal is a small country. It's about 350 miles long and 135 miles wide, with 10 million people. And off the shore of Portugal, and actually it has about, even though it's 350 miles long, it has about 500 miles of coastline. And off the shores in the Atlantic Ocean on the archipelago is 2 islands, Madeira and the other one, what's the other one? Oh, the Azores, of course. So anyway, it's a wonderful country. It's filled with a lot of unique culture, history, archaeology, architecture, and also fabulous food and incredible fine wines. So for a small little country, it's an amazing place. Plus it has a number of World UNESCO heritage sites. So could somebody who's not muted, please mute? So, because we're hearing a lot of background. Anyway, it's a fabulous, wonderful country. And if you haven't been, you're going to learn a lot about it. If you've been, it's always wonderful and kind of do more. So what I have planned, actually, we were supposed to have an Alma Water river cruise on the Douro River, which is the river that runs through the beautiful wine country in Portugal. And because of why we're all here with the COVID-19, we had to move it into June of 2021. So if
Sandy,
yes,
Sandy, sorry to interrupt. I just got a text from Jamie that says she's in the waiting room. So
okay.
somebody needs to let her in, I believe.
All right, thank you. Let me see if I can see who that is. I'm gonna just admit.
I lost you, Sandra.
I'm not talking, that's why. So just hang in there for a minute.
No, but I have no picture.
You know what, there's more people, so there's probably more pages. So on the arrows, I might have flipped to another page. There's arrows on the side to see pages. Okay, is everybody in now? Is she in, Warren?
Yeah.
Okay.
I see you.
I'm not in.
Yes, you are, Greta. I see you.
Yeah, but I can't see you.
Well, because I'm probably on another page, Greta. You'll just have to be a little patient, okay? Let's see if we can, there's on the side, in the middle of your page, if you do your arrow, there's probably a little arrow because there's 2 pages. So you can go to the second page because there's more people on than you can see at a screen at once. Can you
The
find
other
it?
thing you can do, you can click speaker view. Just click speaker view. And
Oh,
then
on the
when
top. That's a
Sandy,
good idea. Perfect. Perfect.
Awesome.
Greta, can you
And
find that?
once you find Sandy, if you find the 3 little dots on her picture, you can pin her.
Yeah.
She'll stay on your screen.
Here's Lainey. Sandy is up in the corner.
Okay. Can you find speaker view, Greta?
What?
Can you find speaker view on the top?
Speaker view?
Yes, on the top. Click on that.
No.
Greta, it's in the top right-hand corner. Look up right and
Look
see.
up right.
On
Look
the
at the
top
top
of your
right of your
page.
screen and you'll see speaker view.
you
and
have to
click on-
hover your cursor up there. Put your
Put
cursor
it up
up
to
in
the
the
right
upper right.
corner of your screen.
On the right corner of my screen.
All the way up to the very top.
What does it say?
Speaker view.
No, I've lost it already.
All right, well, see if you can play around with it. Look, move your cursor on the top, the very top of the black box on the upper right-hand corner and play. So anyway, we moved this and so we have a wonderful river cruise planned for the Douro River. And then I created a special before the river cruise and a post so that we get to see more than just the Douro Valley in the whole time that we're there. And both the pre and the post are optional excursions or extensions to the river cruise. So first we're going to take a look at what you would see going through the Douro Valley on the river cruise. So I'm going to introduce Brian Rademacher from AMA Waterways, who is my business development manager and has become a nice friend, who will take us through what you'll see if you were sailing down the Douro in Portugal. So I'm going to give this over to Brian. And Brian, do you want me to share a screen now or just tell me when you're ready for that?
Yes, you can do that. You can share screen.
Okay. All right, can everyone see that?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Oh, I'm so excited.
Sandy, my phone. Sandy, this is Eileen. Can you
Yeah.
let me in from my other device so I can see better? I had trouble with the first device you let me in. I'm waiting in the waiting room.
Okay, let me see if I can get back there.
Thank you.
Sandy, if you'd like to make me a co-host, I know how to deal with the waiting room and I'd be happy to take that from you.
Okay, I think I have to stop sharing for a second to do that. So I'm going to admit everybody in right now. And where are you, Jamie? There you are. So it only lets me either make host, so I'm going to make, I can't do that. All right. All right, I think. Okay, let's see. All right, so I switched it over to you. Okay, let's get back to Brian.
I came back, I found you.
Yay.
Okay, what are we doing now?
You're just watching.
Yeah,
Hey, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. I'm
Okay.
Hello, hello.
All right, can everybody mute, please? Can you mute?
please mute. Mute yourself, please. Thank you. It's tricky, I know. If you've not done a Zoom before, it's like Zoom 101. But typically, when someone is presenting, I know watching from my boys home from school doing Zoom, classroom Zoom, the teacher mutes all the all the kids. So yeah, so in this case, yes, if you wouldn't mind muting, that would be terrific. And I'll just reintroduce myself, and thank you, Sandy, for the kind introduction. And yes, Sandy and I have become friends over the last few years. I actually joined AMA Waterways a little over 3 years ago. I'm the sales guy for Northern California, and I live up in Petaluma in Sonoma County. And it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much. And my colleague, Liz Barrett, who is down in Southern California, she is our wine cruise lady, guru, or like she likes to say, a professional wino. And so that's what she says. I'm just quoting her.
I do.
Hope that's okay. And she's with me today as well. So thank you, Liz, for joining me. And yes, cruising through Portugal, well, just in general, as Sandy was kind of talking about some of the overall stats about Portugal. Portugal has now come out from under the radar, I think, because it really is in vogue as a destination, so much so that we added a second vessel on the Douro River that we have two now, actually, the Amaduro and the Amavita. But in any event, Portugal, wonderful destination. Believe it or not, I look at things like this, and it's also one of the #1 retirement havens in all the world. People from all over the world are moving, particularly to the Algarve region of southwest Portugal. So yes, indeed, wonderful place. The newest international airline that started serving SFO last June was TAP, the Portuguese carrier. So there now are nonstop flights between SFO and Lisbon. And so, yes, Portugal definitely in vogue, and it's something that we're very excited to offer as a river cruise product through the Douro Valley. That picture there is of the town of Porto, which is where you begin and end the cruise. And this is next June of 2021. So what are we now? So 13 months from now. And again, this is the beginning and ending spot. And believe it or not, last year in the Travel and Leisure Reader Survey for favorite cities amongst the readers, their favorite cities in Europe, the usual suspects, Florence and Rome, they came in the top 3. But guess what? Porto came in 4th. So again, Portugal finding its niche, if you will. Next slide. Sandy, thank you. So that's me. I'm not dressed up, as you can see. I'm in my Zoom attire today, not in my suit. And Liz there to the right. And that quote is from one of our BDMs. So Brownie points to the BDM, Business Development Manager, where it says, "Oceans take you to the countries and rivers take you through them." Never a more apt statement has been made. That is absolutely true. And that's part of the reason why river cruising is so popular. We like to say we take you sort of through the veins of Europe to the heart of Europe, right? You're always right where you want to be from a destination standpoint. Far less people. Again, both of our Portugal ships, next slide, please, Sandy. I think we'll have yes, the Amaduro, a sister ship to the Amavita, and the Amaduro came out last year. She only carries 102 guests. That's it, 51 cabins. So this particular departure, I mentioned June, so it's next June 19, Porto round trip. So again, about 13 months from now. Next slide. And that is the itinerary on the Douro River, incorporative of both Portugal as well as Spain. And then, as Sandy mentioned, there's going to be optional extensions for you to enjoy Portugal. And she's put together a really interesting program. Next. And certainly that Douro River Valley, as you'll see pictured here coming up momentarily, it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And I tell you what, and Liz would attest to this as well, the accolades and the comments and the commendations that come back from people that have cruised through the Douro River Valley, just off the hook. Go ahead, Liz, yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, even from a wine perspective, when we get the feedback on all of our trips through Portugal, it's over the top. I mean, it's very rich, lots of culture, and you've got so many options every single day. I mean, people are completely immersed into the culture, the wine, the food. It's extraordinary. So we probably get the very best, by far, feedback on the Douro when it comes to like the combination of the wine, the history, everything.
Thank you.
And I haven't actually done this one yet because it is so popular, it sells out so fast. So I have not actually been able to do this one yet.
That makes two of us, to be totally transparent. Yeah, that's the thing. The popularity of Portugal and then the size of the ships, that does make two of us. But speaking of the food, I made a mental note to myself, and I want to give a shout out. There is a fantastic Portuguese restaurant in San Francisco in Noe Valley, and it's called Uma Casa. Now, granted, we can't obviously go to the restaurant, but if any of you are near San Francisco and maybe want to try to do takeout to get a little flavor of Portugal, this is how popular Uma Casa is. When TAP announced that they were going to start flying into San Francisco, and then a group of dignitaries came from Portugal, including, I think, the prime minister, or whatever they call the top person there, president of Portugal. Long story short, 3 times during their stay in San Francisco, they frequented Uma Casa, including the president grabbing a to-go before he got on his flight back home. So it's Uma Casa. It's on Church Street in Noe Valley in the city. I've had the good pleasure with my wife of dining there and sampling the Portuguese food. They do a wonderful job, and the wines as well. And it has the official stamp of approval of the head fellow there in Portugal. So I want to make mention of Uma Casa. I'm not getting any certificates or anything like that. I just really like the owner and the chef and whatnot. So maybe you can all gather there maybe next May for a Bon Voyage party. That'd be kind of fun to do. That's an idea for you. Next slide.
That's good.
Yeah.
Next May.
That's right. Next May, a year from now. I know. So Lisbon, obviously where you begin the optional pre-cruise, right? Sandy, isn't that you're going to have your optional pre starting in Lisbon?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and so again, a city that's steeped in history, absolutely beautiful, as you can see. Next slide. And then in Sintra, the Peña Palace that you'll have an opportunity to visit as well. Next. And then, of course, beginning and ending in Porto. And you'll have time here. And, of course, Porto, when you have an opportunity, go Google the São Bento railway station. It's spelled S-A-O, São Bento, B-E-N-T-O, São Bento railway station. And go and see the pictures of this incredibly beautiful rail station for its blue and white tile panels depicting scenes from Portuguese history. It is not in a museum, but it is one of the most beautiful rail stations in the world. Again, São Bento railway station. In Porto, there's a section that is, once again, a UNESCO World Heritage Site area, including the absolutely incredible cathedral, which is one of the city's oldest monuments, is the cathedral. Next. And then you have an opportunity to visit this castle, Castelo Rodrigo, which is a small fortified village. It's perched, as you can see, high on a hilltop upon century-old walls, you can see, with steep, narrow streets nearby. And obviously, the views are absolutely fantastic. There's an optional hike if you're so inclined. You don't have to do the hike. But here, you're going to get to taste some delicious locally grown produce. You'll also get to have a nice lunch at Quinta da Avaceda, where you'll enjoy, again, authentic and traditional dining, complete with entertainment as well, which is kind of nice. Next. And then Pinhao in Portugal here, again, you can see, look how narrow the river is there. And that's the comments that people make, is just how incredibly beautiful the terraced vineyards are along the river. There are people, as Liz mentioned earlier, that come back, including some people that make a living reviewing river cruises in the world, who come back saying, and some very famous ones at that, come back saying that the Douro River Valley, once they've done it, has become their favorite river to cruise, certainly anywhere, including in Europe. So you can see from there. And here you have an opportunity to go see various art museums. It doesn't look like there would be, but in Pinhao there is. And then you'll see the next slide, you get to go visit, I think this is going to be the slide, well, there again, another beautiful shot of the terraced vineyards and the vineyards that you'll visit and the wineries that you'll have an opportunity to visit. And there's a variety of different excursions. The nice thing about AMA Waterways, of many nice things, is the shore excursions are included, right? So when you book to come on the cruise, the excursions are all included in the cost. Next. So yes, this is what I want to get to, the Palacio de Moteos and its gardens, stunningly beautiful. And so you visit inside the house with interesting furnishings and paintings and a ceiling of intricately carved wood. And the gardens here that you get to visit are some of the most beautiful in all of Portugal. And then later in the day, you'll go to visit another winery, made this wine exclusively in the Douro River Valley. Next. And so at AMA, the word AMA comes from the Latin word amare, which means to love. And so what you'll sense, and this is certainly subjective, but what you'll sense when you come on board, we're a family-owned company and have been for 18 years. And since we are family-owned, this whole sense of welcoming you with this sort of AMA love, you're going to feel it when you come on board. The crew is simply wonderful, and you'll fall in love with them such that a lot of times people come back. Obviously, the ship is beautiful, but people come back time and time again because of the wonderful crew. Next. This gives you an idea.
That's the room. You like it?
Nice. Give you an idea of what one of the balcony accommodations, and of course, North Americans, particularly if you've done an ocean cruise and had a balcony, you kind of like that experience. I know I do. And so the ships have the optional accommodations with a balcony from anywhere from 215 to 323 square feet. Next. And then you'll spend a lot of time here in the lounge area where entertainment occurs. Of course, the bar is there as well. The cruise manager giving their talks as well. Next. And then, yes, there is a wine pairing dinner that occurs on board, and that's unique to us and certainly AMA Waterways and our focus on being a river cruise line that is very much dialed in on offering fantastic wine cruise experiences within the destinations that we go, including Portugal. And I think that might be it. Next.
Yes,
Sandy?
no, that's it.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Brian. That was great. Does anybody have any questions about the cruise portion of it that anyone wants to ask? All right, what I'm going to do is, let me get rid of this other thing here on the participants. And I'm just going to take you very quickly through the pre and the post. I just want you to see the photos. We're not going to talk a lot.
Sandy, there's a question, just so you know, in the chat room, wanting to know if the cruise is full yet. Is the cruise full? Can they still sign up?
There is, I think there's still space, not a lot of space, but there is some space available. So if you're interested, this is something we should do right away, because we took, I think, about 8 cabins, and 8 of the 51, and other people moved from 2020 to 2021. So if you think you're interested, please contact me ASAP so that we can make sure that we can get you in. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go.
One last question and
yes.
I'll stop. But
all right, no, that's great, Jamie. You're doing great.
You know,
put you on payroll. I got a PPP loan. Why not?
All right. Free wine for me.
Yeah.
What are the dates of the cruise? And could Brian please just tell us who lived in that castle? And I think then we'll save the rest of the questions for when we open it up as we drink our wine.
Okay, great. So the date of the cruise is we embark on June 19th and disembark on June 26th. And you'll see now the pre is going to be, I think it's June 13th. And then the post will get off on the 26th, and then it's another 4 days. So it's the 29th or the 29th, and you would fly home on the 30th. So again, you could do the pre and the cruise, you could do the cruise and the post, or you can do the pre, the cruise, and the post. So it's, you know, one from column A, two from column B, or whatever. So you can mix and match however fits your lifestyle, your how much time you have and how much you want to see and do. Okay.
So the palace, I had to Google the palace, the palace to see let's see who lived there. Go on, and then I will, let's see, the work, let's see, I'm just reading here. It was built in the 16th century. Wow, architect Nikolai Nasoni. And I'm just going to see who lived there. So go ahead, and then I'll answer the question a little later,
Okay.
later on. While you're doing that, I'll find who actually lived there.
Okay, so it's going to be June 14th to June 19th. And so the first day, everybody would arrive in Lisbon, and then we would start on kind of officially day 2. So everybody's going to fly into Lisbon. It's a beautiful city. It's it reminds me very much of San Francisco. It's built on 7 hills. They have cable cars. They even have a bridge that looks like the Golden Gate Bridge and is painted the same color. This is the hotel that we'll be staying at in Lisbon. So you can see it's really beautiful. Lisbon is known for the painted tiles, and you'll see these gorgeous tiles all over. It is on a river, so it's, just all these beautiful seaside views. It's just gorgeous. The old part of the city, the Belém Quarter, and this is a monastery, and I am not going to butcher the Portuguese by trying to say it, but it's a beautiful, and again, another world. I think I think Portugal's probably got to be the winner for per capita World Heritage Sites. It's just an amazing, amazing place. And of course, with all water and all the amazing seafood. And so one of the things that's nice about it, all your meals are included in the pre and the post, and we're going to be eating in just fabulous restaurants. There's their little cable car. And so in the morning, we'll be in the old quarter. In the afternoon, we'll be in the newer part of the city. And then for dinner, here's the cable car again. Fado is Portuguese traditional folk music, and it's really become very popular. Even the students are singing it now. So I think it'll be a very true, at first I was thinking, is this like kind of a touristy thing? But everybody's assured me that it's really not. It's really a part of their culture. Then the next day, we'll take off towards Alentejo, and they call it the Golden Plain, and you can see why. I mean, it's just stunningly beautiful. And we'll have lunch in a former 15th century convent. There's so many convents in Portugal, I mean, that have been converted into hotels that are just stunning. And then we will go to the town of Évora, which is Roman ruins. This was the temple to Diana. It was kind of, the Romans were there, and then the Moors came, so that the combination of architecture all through this country is just phenomenal. And this is the hotel that we'll be at, and it's right along the Roman aqueduct. You can see that in the lower right and lower left. And then Portugal is the #1 producer of cork. So not only the cork that you took out of your wine bottles, but they make everything in cork. So we will go visit a cork factory and see, how they do all this. And then, of course, we have to have lunch, and we're going to go to this this little mountain town where, they bake the bread in this oven, and olive oil is pressed, and it's just going to be amazing food. And I love this. This is Monsanto, and it's this village that it dates back to Paleolithic times, and you can see this, this granite rocks sculpture, and then the houses are built in. It kind of reminds me, if you've been to Cappadocia with those unique land formations, and then they built the cave houses. Well, this is a kind of similar thing. And we're going to have a special geologist who's going to be able to talk about this whole land formation. And this is where we'll be staying, just another beautiful place in Belmonte. And Belmonte is very interesting. It's the home of what's his name, Casal, Pedro Casal, who discovered Brazil. But it's also was the place at the time of the Spanish Inquisition. It's on the border of Spain, and it's up in the mountains, and it's kind of protected. So Jews fled from Spain to Belmonte in Portugal, and basically survived for 500 years protected in the mountain. And then in the 1900s, in the 20th century, the community was recognized by the rabbinate in Israel as, you know, being there the whole time. So it's just an amazing kind of story. And then Portugal is known for its Serra cheese, which is a sheep milk cheese. And you can see from here, it's a very soft kind of thing. So we're going to visit a farm and you can milk a sheep and make cheese, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And then we will end up in Porto. And that's the bridge that you always see from everything. And then the next morning we'll be on the ship. So then when we get to the next part,
it's the Mateos family, by the way, that lived in the castle, Mateos.
so now you've had a wonderful time on the cruise down the Douro River, drinking yourself from one day to the next and having your hotel move with you. You don't have to change hotels. And we'll disembark from the ship. And that's kind of the schedule. And we'll get picked up in Porto. There's that bridge again. You see it, you know, in all the beautiful photos. Oops. And we're going to go to Aveiro, which is known for its salt pans. And they collect the flor de sal, which is most chefs think is the best kind of salt to ever have. And it's also considered the Venice of Portugal. You see these little boats, and I forgot what they were called. Moleiros or something. What's the name of the boats? Maliceros, yes. And they were used to collect seaweed, but obviously you can ride in them, and it's just, you know, beautiful and wonderful. Again, we'll have a fabulous lunch in what was an old salt house, which has been converted to a restaurant. And then ovos moles is the national dessert of Portugal. And we're going to actually have a cooking class, and you'll have a chance to make some ovos moles yourself. And then there's a fine, Vista Alegre is fine porcelain. The porcelain there, the president of Portugal has it, Queen Elizabeth has it, it's in the White House. It's an amazing artisan talent, and we'll get to see that. This is where we'll be staying, another beautiful hotel. And then we're going to go to Coimbra, which is one of the oldest universities in all of Europe. It was established in 1290, and they call it the City of Students because there's so many students there, and the students sing fado, you know, the traditional folk music that we're going to see in Lisbon. And we have to eat all the time. And then we're going to go to Coimbra, which is full of Roman ruins. In fact, it dates, that area dates back to the 9th century BC. And it's only 10% excavated, because every civilization, when they came in, you know, and they took over, they knocked everything down and built on top of it. So it's layers and layers and layers, and they're still excavating. So it's really interesting. We will be in Serta overnight, and this is on the river. So, you know, another beautiful time. Then we'll visit the village of Dornes, which has its pentagonal Templar tower, which the Templar Knights used as a way to protect the river, the Zizeri River. And then we'll go to Tomar with a good traditional thing. Here we're in Tomar, beautiful city. This is the castle of Almoral, which is, you can't see it here, but it's actually an island in the middle of the river. So in order to get to the castle, we have to get there by boat. And this is the monastery, again, World UNESCO Heritage Site. Then we'll be at the seashore, and another wonderful dinner. And then this, I'm really looking forward to this. Óbidos is an old walled village from Moorish times, but all the homes are painted white. And if you've been to Spain and you've been to the Pueblos Blancos, on the coast of Spain, this is very much like that, with the old windy streets and beautiful houses and the bougainvillea and the honeysuckle. I mean, it's just gorgeous. And then we'll end up back in Lisbon, and there's a bridge I told you about that looks like the Golden Gate and painted the same color. And we'll have our farewell dinner, and then the next day you'll be on the plane home. So that's a quick trip to Portugal. So I want to show you one last thing. This is from the Tourism Bureau in Portugal, and it's just a stunning video, and it's a nice kind of way to end this.
It's time to stop. It's time to look out for each other in the distance. Time to stare humanity in the eyes. To take a break for the world. It's time to stop. Time to make a pause so we can play again. To think of everyone and meet no one. To reset, recenter, switch off, to move on. Time to change our little world. To calibrate the path of mankind. It's time to stop. We are meant to connect and we are stronger together. But separated, we are today more united than ever. And for now, our main strength is to be apart. It's time to stop. Nature, landscapes, beaches, and monuments aren't going anywhere. They will still be there waiting for a better time to be lived. And we must do the same for a while. It's time to stop. The perfect time not to visit anything. Sometimes to rise is to stand still. It's time to stop. Stop and think of ourselves. Think of everyone else too. It's time to stop and refocus as a whole for all. It's time to understand and respect our times. Respect one another. The faster we stop, the sooner we will bond again. It's time to dream of those amazing days to come. For when those days arrive, we will say again.
So it's not time to go to Portugal today. However, restaurants open today in Portugal. Portugal had very low impact from COVID-19. They closed their borders really quickly. And
I'm Jonathan Crawford, CEO of Jobs.com, and I'm here to give you the naked truth.
And so, you know, but hopefully by June of next year, we'll be able to go. So you saw how beautiful that country is and how lovely it is. And I know all of us are looking forward to that day when we can travel again, when it'll be safe and we can get out there. I know I'm going crazy. I can't wait to be able to travel again. So any questions before? Now we've seen how beautiful Portugal is. Now we want to taste how delicious Portugal is. But I just wanted to ask if there are any questions about any of the travel or any of that before we move on to the wine. Anybody?
Maybe if people could raise their, if they could click on their hand raise, I can unmute.
Or maybe we can just unmute for a second or two, everybody.
I'll unmute everybody. I'll unmute everybody.
Yeah, so if anyone has a question, now's the time. I guess people are still muted. Okay, all right, so moving on to the part we're all waiting for. I'd like to introduce my friend and partner in crime here, Warren Egnell, who you've all gotten your wine from. And I'll give you a little background on Warren. Warren is an entrepreneur with a deep passion and insatiable thirst, pun intended, for wine. From an interest, it started out as an interest, became a hobby, became an obsession, and now a business is on the path that led Warren to the establishment of his company, Duvan. Duvan specializes in wine experiences from unique events, and I've been to some of his wine dinners, and they're just amazing. The wine is incredible, the food is fabulous, and the company is just terrific. And wine discovery tastings, educational programs, they feature diligently sourced, small production, interesting and special wines. Warren and his team take the time to get to know their clients, to understand what they're interested in, what they haven't discovered yet, and create white glove, individualized services to meet your wine tastes and needs. Warren's goal is to work closely with you to develop an understanding of your needs and bring you into the exciting and entertaining world of discovering new and special wines to enjoy and collect. So it's my pleasure to turn this over to Warren Egnell, and let's drink.
Well, thank you, Sandy. Welcome, everybody. I don't know about that invitation, Sandy. I've been drinking since 4:45. But anyway, so yes, so wonderful, wonderful presentation. Right back to when I was, what? Am I on? Right, I'm unmuted, right? You can hear me?
Yes, yes.
All right, sorry, it's screened up. I was muted. So it took me right back, Sandy and Brian, to when I was in Porto last year, and then went to Pinhao, was the station in the Douro, which sort of reminded me of when I read Dr. Zhivago. I thought the train was so old and rickety it was going to fall off the tracks, but it was so much character and so wonderful to go to these little small towns. And then to arrive at Quinta de la Rosa. I don't know if anyone's been to Quinta de la Rosa. It's a winery that's been in the Berquist family since the last century, well, actually since well over 100 years now. And like most of the wineries in Portugal, they're an English family, and who own them. And just a wonderful, wonderful small family-owned winery right on the banks of the Douro. I'm going to see if it will allow me to share my screen.
You should be able to.
So you should be able to see my screen now. Sandy, can you see
Yes,
it?
yes.
So this is the Douro looking back up over to Quinta de la Rosa. Just a wonderful small winery. What's amazing is how steep the slopes are. Many of you, I'm sure, have been there. Everything hand harvested, single, with the clusters. And of course, my favorite part of it is a lot of the wine is foot trodden. So of course, I asked the question when I was there, well, do you have to wash your feet? And they said, preferably not. It adds to the flavor of the wine. So it's something I'm keen to do. So this is the view over the river and up to from the winery, from one of the terraces up at the winery. They actually have a little hotel or a few rooms where you can actually stay at the winery. This is the pool, and just a really, really, really wonderful place. This is it up the top of the hill here. And it's just an extraordinary place, the Douro and the Portuguese wines. It's a winemaking tradition that goes back many, many centuries. And the wines are truly extraordinary. And that's Sophia, the current owner of the winery. And it's just an extraordinary, maybe that's one of your boats down there, Brian, who knows, right? And of course, Portugal, like Spain, like Italy, really known for food and wine. It's really a tradition of combining both. Although I must say some of these wines that we've had, that I'm drinking now are just really, really super by themselves. So anyway, that's sort of the Quinta de la Rosa story, family owned, very, very hands-on, small production, but absolutely gorgeous wines, harkening back to the traditional varietals, of the wines. Of course, Portugal known mostly for port in terms of the historical prominence of their wines, and who doesn't like port? Quinta de la Rosa, by the way, makes an awesome white port. If you haven't had white port, it's terrific, especially in a drink I was introduced to when I was there called Porto Tonica, where you mix the white port with some tonic and a sprig of whatever you have. Could be rosemary or mint or anything, and it makes a wonderful summer cocktail, the Douro equivalent of the Aperol Spritz. So if you haven't had a Quinta de la Rosa white Porto Tonica, you should. So anyway, hopefully you've now all caught up on the wines. We have two wines tonight, a white and a red. The estate white is fruit from, they call it estate because it's fruit from vineyards owned exclusively by the estate. And I mean, I just find this just a lovely, fresh, alive, bright wine with great floral notes on the nose and great, those citrusy flavor profiles. Just, I almost wish I had a seafood tower in front of me right now to enjoy this wine. So again, I'm curious more than I am to listen to my own voice, to listen to some of your folks' take on the wine. But this is a white wine that's really, again, fresh and lively and easy to drink. I did decant the red. One of the main reasons for that, I think most wines can benefit from a little bit of decanting. And on this red at 2016, it's a pretty young vintage. This is a wine that can age easily for another couple of decades. 20, 25 years time, this wine is just going to mature and develop and grow. I mean, right now, just a gorgeous color, beautiful red fruit nose, even some expression of terroir there, the earthiness that comes from the sense of place just transports me right back there. And this wine is just gorgeous, elegant and soft and silky, but with real grip and power. You can, great red. In fact, that cheese, Sandy, you were talking about, the Serra cheese and this wine would be remarkable together. So anyway, that's Quinta de la Rosa. That's the Douro wine region. The still wines have historically not been the greatest, going back, 50 years ago. But today, as I'm sure you will attest, having tasted both of these wines, those of you who were fortunate enough to get them in time, these wines are world class. And one of the great things about Portugal is you get to drink wines that are as good as any wines from anywhere. But because it's not as prominent a wine region for still wines as Bordeaux or places of that nature, then the values are great. So the wines tend to give a real big bang for the buck. But anyway, I'm sure you're sick and tired of me pontificating about wine. You can assume I know what I'm talking about, but I might not. So maybe someone else has an opinion or a comment or a question. Let me go and see.
And there are questions in the chat box, and Tom Kalinowski also had his hand up.
All right. Well, let me see if
Maybe we can unmute a little bit too, so that people can.
I'll unmute everybody, but it's great if you don't have background conversations then.
And if your dog's barking or you got a lot of noise in the background, then just kindly mute yourself.
Okay, so any questions, any comments? What do you think of the wines?
This is Joan. I love the red wine. It's really, really good, but I'm drinking by myself. So how do I store these so they will still taste good?
Well, I think you put the cork in it and put it in the fridge and finish it tomorrow, Jen.
Thank you.
It will. I'm being sort of tongue in cheek. The wine will be fine. You put it in the fridge. Even the red, take it out in a couple of days. It should be fine for a few days. I wouldn't keep it much longer than that. But I'm not. My wife absconded to Palm Springs and left me here alone. So I'm going to have to finish these tomorrow myself.
Oh, you're up to the challenge. Warren, can you stop sharing so we can see larger pictures of people? Great, thanks.
If I could just say one thing about Quinta de la Rosa. I work with the importer of these wines, and Warren invited me to join in with you guys. So thank you. Your future possible trip looks amazing.
Oh, you should come
I
with
just wanted
us.
to talk
You're
about
a wine expert.
Exactly. One thing that you'll notice how steep those hills are, and when you're in the Douro Valley, they have the different vineyards are graded differently, A, B, C, D, E, and F. And Quinta de la Rosa has only A graded slant. So these are really optimal grape growing conditions. Though it is actually a UNESCO heritage site, and it's really, really beautiful. So as Warren talked about, it's all hand picked, small production, and the conditions themselves are really phenomenal that we have at Quinta de la Rosa. So I hope you're enjoying. Thank you for checking it out.
Get outside. Mommy does too. And mommy.
Okay, so what's your favorite, the white or the red?
Depends on the weather, what I'm eating.
Ginger's the only one who's got it. She's got her shrimp for the white and she's got her meat for the red. Ginger's smart. Ginger's got this all planned out.
That's a loaded question, Sandy. What you do is white. Lovely.
Yeah, and you know, all I do.
I know. Well, I'll follow you, white.
White?
Lovely.
You know, I mean, clearly people, you know, different people have different preferences, and thank God there's a huge world of diversity out there. As my grandfather used to say, Warren, it's a good thing we all like different things, or everyone would be after your grandmother. So, I mean, I like everything. For a nice Jewish boy, I have very Catholic taste in wine. You know, it's like white, red, pink, sparkling. I mean, it's all
orange. Orange is the new red.
Yeah, but again, I think it all depends on the winery and the quality. I mean, it's very tough to get bad wine these days because the winemaking techniques are so good. I mean, there may be some that are of higher quality, objectively speaking, or wines that you prefer. But I think the thing about wine is to be adventurous. One of my biggest frustrations in the business is when people come up to me and say, "Oh, I don't like French wine." I'm like, not even white Burgundy, and you know, and red Burgundy. And they say, no, especially not those. I said, well, what wines do you like? It's like, well, I like Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, which is all they make in Burgundy. So, you know, but those are people who are familiar with a particular type and style of wine, like in California, particularly here in Northern California, the big oaky, buttery styles of wine that people are used to. But when you begin to expand horizons and introduce people to, I have to look at the sheet because I don't even know. I mean, I do know in the red wines, you know, Touriga Nacional, Touriga Franco, but you know, in the white wines, this wine is made from Viosinho, Rabigato, Codega de Rourinho, and Gouveia. I mean, who's ever heard of those wines? I'm in the business. I've been in the business for 10 years. I haven't heard of those wines until I went there, those varietals until I went there last year. So, you know, Gavi from Piedmont. I mean, just to be more adventurous with wine. So when someone says, oh, I don't like white wine or I don't like sparkling wine, it's like, well, you haven't tasted a good one. Come with me. And so I don't think I think it's just a personal, whatever mood you're in is where you should allow yourself to be transported to.
Well, I can tell you that.
Andy, I've got to go. I've got to jump on another
Liz,
Zoom.
It was great to see you. Thank you.
So nice to meet all of you. And Warren, that was wonderful.
I have
all right. Well, Liz, you know where to find me if you're thirsty.
Oh, Janet.
You got it.
Thank you, Liz.
So Warren, do you carry
you.
that white port that you talked about?
Oh yeah, actually, you know, in fact, I'm actually shipping out 6 bottles of that white port to a customer in Minnesota tomorrow. But yeah, we absolutely we carry the white port in the entire line of Quinta de la Rosa wines. I'm a huge fan of these wines. Their ports are outstanding. In fact, they're so good, and Chelsea knows this, that they released, like, I think there was a special reserve port, which was the one that I bought, Chelsea, where I cornered the whole market because you only had 24 in California and I bought them all. So
that was the 30-year tawny.
Yeah, so the 30-year tawny. I mean, I bought every bottle that was available for sale in California. And I really, every time I sell a bottle, Sandy, I die a little inside because it's one bottle I don't get to drink.
One of your babies is going.
But I have learned that, you know, over the years, you know, sort of now that I've migrated to wine full time from management consulting, is that I'm probably better off if I was in the wine selling business than in the wine drinking business. You know, depleting profits is a very pleasurable thing to do in the wine, and I do it quite diligently. But yes, I mean, we carry the 30-year, the 20-year, the 10-year tawnies with the vintage port. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I just bought a whole bunch of 2012 vintage port. And the still wines are fantastic. There's several white wines. This is the estate white. There's other whites. There are a couple of other different red wines. The red wine we're drinking now is one of the best red still wines in Portugal, period. I mean, this is not an entry-level wine by any stretch of the imagination. It's a pretty elevated wine, and wine that'll age beautifully. And I'd love to hear some comments about what people think about the red wine and the whites and how they're enjoying it. I did see a chat. Someone was recommending what Ginger said: shrimp sautéed in olive oil. I'm coming over to your house.
No, we're all on the way to Ginger's afterwards. Bring your bottles.
I just sauteed it with a little bit of olive oil and butter and garlic and espelette pepper, and then really, really quick. And then at the very end, I hit it with some lemon juice. And so the citrus thing really played with the white, and then the butter and the shrimp, you know, as I used big ones, was rich. It had like that rich, unctuous mouthfeel that really worked with the white. Mm-hmm. So I'm a red wine person. So, but of these two, I think because of the food, I'm a fan of the white. So now I got to go work on the red.
So I'm drinking the red, and I would probably put it with something with a light cream sauce, something, because it's actually a very light red.
It is.
And you know, maybe a light tomato cream sauce with some peas and chicken or something like that. And I don't know what, but it wouldn't hold its own, I think, against like fettuccine Alfredo or something really heavy.
But it's really funny. I wish I could have found that Sarah cheese, because it's a sheep's milk cheese, but not like Chev that you get here. It's got it's like a rind, and it's a very aromatic cheese. So it reminds me more of,
I guess Luis has got the cheese right there. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Wow.
Cheese. Oh.
Well, that's not fair. Luis is Portuguese, so he had an inside track.
that cheese would be a big cheese.
And as you've seen in the chat, you know, Chelsea shared a couple of things in the chat. She shared a link to a video, but she also linked, let you know that they love to have people go there and foot trod the wines. Harvest.
Somebody asked if they could.
Lisa, harvest is usually October. You know, isn't that when Chelsea usually around that time?
Usually late September, early October. But the link that I posted, we just did a tasting with both Sophia and her brother. They're the third generation, and they're running the winery now. So if you want to, you know, follow and learn more about the Douro and see what they're doing at the winery, feel free to watch that at your leisure.
Great.
Yeah.
So has anyone ever had these wines before, or are we all first timers here?
First
Totally
time.
first time.
First time.
I'm loving that red. I'm a light red. That's my preference, and I'm loving this red.
Yeah, so if I'm not mistaken, I think I've created, you know, on the same place most of you bought the wines, you'd be able to access these wines. I think the white is $19 and the red's $57, and that's including tax and delivered to your door. Maybe a little bit more if you live in Kentucky. But you know, Deborah, yes, we can send to South Carolina. Do you have the wines, Deborah? Did I not ship them to you?
I think Deborah signed up too late to get the wines for this, but she can get them now.
Get them now. Drink up, they'll make more.
Right, if anybody wants, I mean, you can order these, you can order other things. Warren, do you sell spirits, or is it just wines?
No, just wine.
Okay. So,
oh my God, if I sold spirits, could you imagine? Because, you know, there's a funny thing that happens in the wine business. Do you know how much wine just walks out the back of the warehouse? Could you imagine if that happened with vodka and scotch? I have to show you guys, because let me tell you what would happen with spirits. Okay, can you see what's behind me here?
Oh my God.
Okay. Okay, that's like, you know, there's like 47 bottles of scotch and bourbon back there. So if I actually sold this stuff and could get it wholesale, could you imagine what would happen?
Oh, wow.
Although I think I think I may get a spirits license.
Good.
No, I really
actually did a scotch tasting on Friday night we had 18 scotches. These little vials, 18 21-year-old or older scotches.
Oh, that's me.
Mm-hmm.
I love single malt scotch.
No, I really like this red because now it's like Grenache is one of my favorite reds, but it's much fruitier than this one. So this has that more tannin and body, but it's not like jammy or rich in that way. It's got all this character still to it while still being full bodied.
But on the note, Ginger, on the nose, you almost think that you're going to get that real fruity nature, and you do. You get I get sort of those. It's sort of like a dark plum as opposed to like a blackberry or strawberry kind of red fruit flavor, that dark black fruit flavor. But what's really interesting about these wines with climate change and global warming is these wines resist. You know, Touriga Nacional, Touriga Franca, they ripen very slowly, so they work much better in a warmer climate. It's very hot there in the Douro, you know, if you go there in the summer. And in Bordeaux, it's getting warmer, you know, in France and further north, and it's wreaking havoc on the Cabernet Sauvignon and other grape varietals that are ripening too soon. So just recently, I think a few months ago in France, they allow now for the inclusion of Touriga Nacional in the Bordeaux blend, which is, you know, is unprecedented. You know, it used to be Cab Franc, Merlot, etc. A little bit of Malbec, but now so now they're putting these really robust, really thick-skinned, slow ripening grapes into the Meritage.
Oh.
But they're doing an extraordinary job of just the this blend in Portugal.
Well, I always love going to other regions where they have varietals that you've never ever heard of, because there's like 100 different varietals, and many of them are just wonderful. And you wouldn't know them if you didn't get out in Napa Valley.
Oh, but so poor us, we're just only have Napa Sonoma to go to. I mean, it's really tough.
And look, Napa and Sonoma are fantastic. I mean, I love a lot of the wines, but because of the economics of the valley out here, the wines tend to be incredibly expensive. They're fantastic wines, except for the ones that brew inside of a donkey that are all just, you know, there's actually one called Butter. There's a wine that is I'm sorry, maybe I'm offending some people, but
no,
I couldn't believe it. But, and like Mayomi, a lot of these wines are manufactured wines. They're full of what's called mega purple. So what they do is they take the must, you know, all the skins and everything from the top of the wine they make it. They dehydrate that into like bouillon type cubes, and then they sell that to manufacturers. It's called mega purple to deepen the color in the wine. Because you know, so if you can't see your fingers through Pinot Noir, it's a manipulated wine, and a lot of that is happening. So these wines are made with chemistry, as opposed to wines like this, where you know, Sophia will tell you it's what the land gives you, what the vineyard gives you, what the grapes give you, is what ends up in the glass. And to me, that's much more authentic. But in Napa, the wines that support that tradition, I mean, Beckstoffer to Calon is a famous vineyard in Napa, but the wines are $500, $600, $700, $800 a bottle. I mean, it's prohibitive. I get it at wholesale and I can't afford to drink the damn stuff. You know, but this wine for under $60, I'm sorry, it kicks the ass of Napa wines that are twice the price. And French wines and others. That's why I love Portugal and I love Spain and I love the obscure regions of Italy.
What do you think about Croatia?
Oh, Croatia's got some great wines. I mean, the one issue I have is like a lot of these places. You talk about orange wines, Sandy. So orange wines, natural wines, has sort of become an excuse for people making mediocre wines to just call it natural. But I think, you know, Croatia is one of the regions of the world where wines originated. So Zinfandel, most of us in America, we call it Zin. In Puglia, it's Primitivo. So Croatia is just right across the sea there from Italy. So, I mean, the grapes don't know that it's 100 miles across a little bit of a strait of water. But I mean, the wines in Croatia are extraordinary, and especially now since the fall of the Soviet Union and Czechoslovakia being, you know, and all these states coming into their own, they're able to really express modern winemaking techniques and exposure to the global markets. And the wines coming out of Croatia are super.
I bought corkscrews when I was in Porto.
you bought
mine? No, I bought them in Lisbon.
That's right. Yeah, you can buy everything in Cork in Portugal.
Oh, you heard me. Oh yeah, I bought my husband shoes.
No secrets.
Lisbon.
No secrets.
No secrets.
You say you
I want to
love
see your
them.
shoes. Show us your shoes.
Oh, he's not wearing them tonight. He should have.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that. Was it I bought my husband in Portugal?
No.
Yeah, what?
He said, did you buy your husband in Portugal? No.
Oh, just the shoes in Portugal.
Shoes.
Okay, but your husband was with you. Okay.
No. He was not. It was a mother-daughter trip.
Okay. Oh, so you bought him somewhere else. Okay, now I understand.
Yeah, I bought him in Berkeley.
Oh my God.
No, I have to say here though that photo was amazing in Lisbon. My daughter and I went, and it was in a cave, and it was beautiful.
Okay, well, we're going to do the Fado. I've heard enough good things about it that we're going to definitely do the Fado dinner.
And also Obido, Sandy, is incredible. My daughter and I were there and went on a side street and had by far the most amazing meal at this little restaurant where you took one step down and a couple of tables. And it was in the evening. And they also are the home of the International Chocolate Festival that we actually landed upon. And it was like set up like Disney World of chocolate. And we landed upon it because my daughter's GPS took us to the back door of the castle at 5 o'clock at night, a little scary. And we ended up going through the door and it was all set up for this International Chocolate Festival. So it's incredible. It's super quaint, super cute. The houses are super cute. And they have like gold and royal blue markings on the houses. You're gonna love it there. It's just,
I know it's one of the things that's like top of my list of one of the things to see and do in Portugal. That like had to be in the itinerary.
And the castle.
I'm glad you had such a good time.
The castle, where I call him the happiest king on the face of the planet. You know, he has those multicolored castle. He's happy. It's gold, it's blue, it's red. It's like, whoa, he's happy man. So
great.
That's incredible. There's 8 castles there. So hopefully you get to see more than just that one.
Yeah. I'm excited.
I would say, Sandy, on another trip, you might want to schedule a trip to Nazaré. The most wonderful fishing village. The old women have their fish drying out on the beach, and then they have the waves. You know, they got these 70-foot waves there.
We had a little bit of echoing. Not sure I got all of that, but it sounded like it was really a good thing to do.
Nazaré.
Anybody have any more questions for Warren? Any questions about the trip or traveling? I know
I have a question, Sandy. How many wineries are you all actually visiting on the cruise?
Is Brian still here?
Is he?
I think there's. I'd have to go back and look at the itinerary, Lisa. But I think it may be close to a winery a day, and and could be more or something. You know, and it depends. You know, one of the wonderful things about river cruising and one of the wonderful things about AMA is that you have options on the excursions. So if you're really into wine and want to do more of the wine tasting, you can do that. If you're not as much into wine, there are usually other options that you can do. So, you know, they're very accommodating and have, you know, just great guides and you know, they have their own, you know, they just really do it nicely. The buses are small. The buses are very well done to take you wherever you need to go. They also have, you know, they separate the tours. They have for very active people, for moderate people, and for people who may have some sort of mobility issues. So, you know, they kind of separate it out. They usually have bikes. I don't know if they have bikes on the Douro, but typically they have bikes. So if people want to they'll do a bike tour, or you can take the bike and go off on your own, one of the things that's fabulous about river cruising is you're in the town. You see how small the river is and you're in the town. It's not like ocean cruising where you're in a port and, you know, you've got container ships and you can't. So if you don't feel like doing one of the excursions and you just want to explore on your own and do your own thing for the day, I mean, you're welcome to do that. I mean, you don't have to, everybody doesn't have to do the same thing. You can pick and choose and however you feel.
Sandy, I've handed you back being host. I need to go. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
Jamie, thank you so much for jumping in there and doing that. I really appreciate it.
See you all next week.
Okay, so yeah, so okay, so next week on Tuesday is Sandy Sale. Are you still here? She may.
Yes, I am.
Oh, there she is. Okay, Sandy is our guest next week. I mean, Warren will be back with us to talk about the wine, but Sandy is my dear friend and also the most amazing supplier ever for anything Africa. I don't care where you want to go in Africa, what you want to do. You want to be 5-star over the top. You want to be a little bit closer to nature and the bugs. It's a private joke. Whatever you want to do, the wine country in South Africa. But I mean, Sandy's not limited to South Africa. We're doing, I have a group, we don't know what's happening yet, but October to do Kenya.
You're going, come on.
I'm ready to go, but the country's got to open up. I'm there.
I think it will be. Kenya and Tanzania's open 1st of June, so I think Kenya will follow pretty quickly. Let's just hope we can get you there.
Well, I hope so, because Sandy's done the most amazing itinerary. We're going to be in Giraffe Manor. I'm going to kiss the giraffes. I don't know if you know this, but giraffes eat some sort of herb that sterilizes their mouth. Their mouths are cleaner than our mouths. They're cleaner than dogs' mouth. You know, you kiss your dog, it's like kiss your giraffe. So when you have tea with the giraffes, they stick their head in the window on the second or third floor, and it's just amazing. So it's one of my bucket list things. And we get to go to the elephant preserve, and then we'll be in, was it 4 safari camps, Sandy?
Yes, 4 different safari camps.
Amazing, over the top, glamping, gorgeous camps, and wonderful things. So Sandy is not just South Africa. I mean, any place in Africa that you want to go, Sandy is the #1, does the best thing, the most attentive, whatever clients need. I had a bride who had a lot of food allergies, and she had just gotten there in Cape Town, and she was finding out that the mineral content in the water she couldn't tolerate, but she found 2 different brands that she could drink. And she was a little nervous that if she got to a safari camp and they didn't have the right water, what she would do. I emailed Sandy, but I mean, I felt like it was 5 minutes later. I'm sure it was like 10 minutes later. That not only did the safari camps were stocked with the water that this woman needed, but also so was her hotel room. So it's that kind of care and that kind of wonderness that, you know, is just amazing. And I have wonderful other stories about how Sandy went above and beyond. So she is my everything Africa. So next week, she's going to be talking about South Africa, but just remember she does more than South Africa. And then Warren will lead us through the 2 wonderful South African wines. And I was just on safari with Sandy in November, and we did go to the winelands outside of Cape Town, and it is just beautiful and stunning, and the wines are delicious and wonderful. So it's going to be another wonderful treat next week. So I look forward to
I just want to say Warren is organizing. I got my wines today. I'm so excited. Warren has organized Babylon Storen, which is one of the most beautiful venues in the Cape Winelands. And I've been monitoring the chats, and I know that I know there are a few people who are interested. Ginger, I think, was going to organize some appetizers or something from the chat that I saw. Or we've nominated you, Ginger, maybe. But I'm also going to reach out to Babylon Store and see if they can give me some ideas on cheeses and maybe some little appetizers to go with our presentation that Warren is going to guide us through next week. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and those Babylon Store wines are extraordinary. The Chenin Blanc in South Africa is the best in the world outside of the Loire Valley. And that Babylon store in Nebuchadnezzar is one of the greatest, maybe one of the best, one of the top 5 wines in the Southern Hemisphere, red wines, possibly. But Sandy, I thought I was your favorite all things South African.
Oh, of course, Shamari, of course.
But yeah, so, and also I see some chats here, Sandy, people are asking if I can send the links where they can buy the wine in an email. So maybe you and I can follow up with people.
Okay, yeah, Warren had sent me some links, so I will, we'll do that, and we'll email everybody afterwards. So if you didn't order wine, and now you think you'd like to have wine for the other 2 tastings, because we have South Africa coming up May 26th, and then Australia on June 1st. I felt, you know, but poor Australia, I mean, between the fires and just when they were kind of getting back, then they got hit with this COVID. But so we're going to send some love to Australia,
right,
and do it that way. But so anyway, we will send a follow-up email with how to order wine. And remember, Warren has wines from all over the world, and you know, we're just giving you three destinations right now, and if everybody likes this, we can continue doing this at different wine growing regions around the world. But Warren does have, you know, these incredible small boutique wineries that you just can't find at Bevmo and these other places, Trader Joe's or whatever. I mean, you're going to get incredible wines and delicious things. So thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
And if you have any questions that weren't answered, and you just want to shoot me an email, feel free to do that, and we'll follow up. But love you all. Thank you for coming. This was so much fun, and I look forward to seeing you next weekend. Have a lovely Memorial Day weekend. Hopefully, you can barbecue in your backyard. And stay safe, 6 feet apart, wear masks. I don't care what the politicians say. Love you guys. Stay healthy.
Come in my backyard, we'll barbecue.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Sandy. Bye.
Thank you.
Sandy, thank you.
Sandy, maybe is there a way for you to save the chat window?
Yes, I asked to save it, and hopefully it will.
And because Patty just sent me an email. Patty, send me an email or call me tomorrow. Or call me now.
So here's the thing.
It's going to be tight, but I might be able to get the
I like that white though. We need to get some more of that.
Yeah, I just saved it again, so hopefully we'll have everything in it.
Yeah. No, you can because
Let me see if I can hang up. Wait, I'm trying to.
Lindsay, and you and Pat look so cute. All right, everybody.
Sandy was great.
Bye, Greta. Good night.
Guys.
Bye.
Good night, all my East Coast guys. It's late for you.
I know. An afternoon wine tasting works for me.
Here's to you. Oops, oh, my glass. Where is it? Here it is.
Keep it in front of your body, otherwise it disappears in the virtual background.
All right. This was so much fun. Thank you all. Love you guys.
Love you, Sandy. Thank you. Good luck.
All right. Bye. See you next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Eileen.
That was so fun.
Oh, I'm so glad you were able to do it. That's
so
great.
much
Great fun, Sandy.
Oh, Roseanne, it was great. You
And I
put
love the
yours up.
wines, both of them.
Oh my God, they're both great.
They're wonderful.
Good.
Thank you.
Good.
Thanks, Sandy. It was fun.
Oh, Julie, I'm glad you came.
Thanks for having me.
So Lee, how did your fiance think we do with Portugal? Were we good enough?
Yeah, I think.
Louise, how did we do?
You did great. I'm very, very proud, and I'm very happy you touched the white port.
Oh,
which is totally unknown.
Yeah.
We always have white port here.
Yeah.
So
Wow, that's
it's just
great.
wonderful.
But you
And,
touched on some beautiful, beautiful places in Portugal. I love your pre and post program.
Yeah, and the
Great.
wine choice is just great. Thank you very much.
Good.
Yeah.
Greta,
Sandy.
you pressed your screen share, Greta. On the
Okay,
bottom there or
sorry.
the top, there's a
I'm
green
saying
button, share
hi.
screen. Can you unpress it? Just stop sharing your screen.
Goodbye.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Yeah,
there
Sandy,
we go.
you got
Okay.
some great. I've been to Portugal like 4 times. And who are you doing your pre and post with?
It's called Vintor. I met him at a Visit Portugal event that they had in San Francisco. And he's very food and wine oriented, so I kind of ended up going with him. I was working with a couple of others, but they weren't coming through, and they came through. So I've been pretty happy with what he did.
Yeah, I love where you're going and what you're doing. But in Porto, when you're in Porto, are you going to do a port visit and a port tasting?
We have a day from the ship in Porto.
Okay.
So that'll kind of be our Porto time.
I love your program. Love it. Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
I'm so happy to hear it's almost sold out. That's great.
Yeah. Well, the ship, and my group, I'd love to add more people, but I just don't know.
How many? What's your max on your group?
Well, it depends on availability on the ship. I think we have 8 cabins now.
Okay, great.
But I don't know what's available. Because everybody's shifting to 2021.
I know.
So it's eating up space.
Yeah, I love it. Cool.
So anyway.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, bye. Nice to meet you, Louise. I've heard wonderful things. It's nice to put a face with the name.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right.
We'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye.